Have you ever wondered about the vibrational frequency of health? Well, today we're going to cover that very topic on Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, USA, on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. And that's something that I enjoy doing very much. I typically have a special guest on the show, and we cover a spiritual topic relating to spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, and more. And I am so blessed to have as my guest today, Sharon Hill. Thanks for being on the show today, Sharon.
Oh, thank you for having me, Willa. I just love your show, and it is an honor and a privilege to be here. And enjoy.
Sharon is a truly delightful soul. She's been on my show before, so I encourage you to look back in the archive videos of my show, and you can like and share and follow and binge watch. It's definitely a good time to be doing those things. And Sharon always has something wonderful to share. She is a registered Lily Dale medium, a spiritual healer, an ordained minister, and also a massage therapist, retired, I guess we should say. And so she's got a wonderful background in the healing modalities, and she brings that to us today as we talk about our topic, vibrational frequency of health.
Thank you, Willa. As I said, it's so wonderful to be here. And it's an amazing topic and opportunity because right now in the situation that the entire world is in, we're not unique, we're not alone. First time Lily Dale's not unique. Right there with the rest of the world, you know?
Yeah.
And so all of humanity is dealing with a challenge, and it's challenging our health. And it's causing a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, tremendous insecurity in people. And even if we say, oh, and especially, you know, I'm seeing two things in spiritual communities. Down here where I am in the winter in Florida, sorry, but you know, they've cloistered everyone, but the churches can meet, and you know, there's the church packed. And I'm like, then I, as a spiritualist, I absolutely believe in freedom of religion. So let them join, and don't let them come to my grocery store or gas station.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. So, there are people who, you know, are not respecting what we know to be helpful in this time, and putting so many people at risk, or at least escalating fear. Okay? So, you know, the vibration of health, how do we stay healthy in a world that doesn't behave? Right?
Well, and ultimately our health is not because someone else behaves or not.
Exactly. We're getting there. This is the point.
Yes.
So our health, you know, doesn't have to be about others. And I think the one thing that everyone is learning collectively as we've been asked to stay inside is really to stay inside, go within. And that all of the healing really happens within, and that all of our state of health is within. And so that's the one thing, if you will, that we can control. Isn't that wonderful news? You know? So a lot recently people are, and I know that you just had Mark Thomas on, talking about meditation, creating that space inside, creating that peace inside, that place of perfection inside. In that place, we're all whole, we're all well. And if we could just stay there, of course, we can't live our life from there. And so...
Well, you can if you develop super consciousness.
You can. It's a process. Probably won't happen tomorrow if you start today. This is what I'm saying. So, hence my topic, because I've noticed, and what I know personally, you know, sometimes when we're feeling afraid or overwhelmed, sometimes it's difficult for people to sit and just meditate, you know. So for those people, and there are many of them, or for those people who are still working, you know, how do we use use the breath in a healing way. How do we bypass needing to sit still and go within if we can't sit still and go within? Of course, it always helps quieting the mind. And when as soon as you sit and try and quiet the mind, you feel like, oh my gosh, worse than ever. But that's actually very good news. It means you're quiet enough to notice. So, right? I use music, I use sound a lot. I use specific frequencies which we know and understand. There are frequencies connected to health. And so what is the frequency of health? A lot of people talk about balancing the chakras. We know that the energy field that surrounds us is our immune system. We know this. And that if you practice Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, what it does is it strengthens our immune system. It puts us in parasympathetic. It relaxes all those places where tight from stress, tight from fear, constricted, conflicted, all these things, and that we can just breathe a little bit deeper, a little wider, create a little more space. And if we have more space for healing, if we're in that space, there's really nothing else needed because we are connected and the energy flows. So our mental state then, we're able to calm enough or be in parasympathetic enough to make that connection consciously.
Yes.
So it's an unconsciousness that really is in our way. But isn't it very good news when you're in that place when you don't have that choice? Have you ever been there? Everyone has, right? At some point in their life, even if you're on the path, even if you've been on the path for years, right? So it's just a fact. It's because we're human, comes and goes. But that we can bypass that need to be able to consciously do something and just allow ourselves to receive it through the auditory vibration. And you might say, well, what if you're deaf? I'm saying vibration has a resonance and frequency that you can touch whatever you're listening to and get it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Get a ball, an exercise ball, turn it on, hold the ball, you'll feel the vibration of it. And so we can attune to frequencies that we know for a fact correlate to certain things about our health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so without much effort, I say it's the lazy person or the neurotic way to health, right? The fearful, it's the shortcut. I use it in my classes. I use a frequency in the background to help people be where they need to be. It's why not use what we know to be effective to enhance. It won't do anything for you, but it will help you be it so that you can do something, right?
That's true. By raising that vibration, that is a phrase that does mean something to us as mediums. We raise the vibration in order to meet with those in spirit. We raise the vibration as spiritual healers in order to do the work, to feel the channeling of divine energy course through us. And there's an adjustment that happens, a tuning in, if you will, that occurs in those moments. And I'm glad you mentioned about someone who's deaf, because I've been reading about Helen Keller a lot lately. She was very attuned to spiritual forces. She was very well educated. So many books were converted to Braille for her use that related to spiritualism, to Swedenborg, things like that. And she had spiritual experiences, visions, the hearing, all because of vibrational frequency.
Yes, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And you don't need anything in your world per se for that to occur. Exactly. Yeah. So we're actually being given a wonderful opportunity, if you will, collectively to have a spiritual experience and to increase our spiritual presence within our own being.
Yes.
And to increase the relationship we have with spirit, whatever that is for people. So, one of the reasons I actually became a medium because of healing. I came to this path through healing. And it's interesting, because I was taking healing courses on energetic healing with just a phenomenal teacher, my very first teacher. And kind of like I was ignorant, I didn't have a language or anything. And someone said, you need to take this woman's class. So I took it. And, the very first class, I'm excited, right? For the first time in my life, I'm with people like me. And, she started doing something, and I looked, and she started, I could see that she invoked the healing presence, and I could see it, and I'm like in this class, and my eyes are just like getting so big like saucers, and I'm like, wow. And she looked at me and she goes, what? And I said, that was a huge cone of white light that just came down. And she said, you can see that? And I said, yes, can't everybody? And she said, no. And I'm like, yeah, constricted again. So.
You're just special, Sharon.
No, not really. There's a lot of us who are special the same way. But, it was my lack of understanding. I'm not making it something it is or isn't. I'm just saying, but that I could see it and knew it was real. This is profound, and that's given to me because when we talk about that cone of energy coming down, we talk about that connection. It's real. Mm-hmm. It's not like some imaginary thing, right? We may see it in our imagination, but it's real. And so it helps to know that. I think that's always been in my foundation, that I know it's real. And that there's always been that place of knowing within me that all I need to do is ask. You see, that innate intelligence that we call God, the God of our understanding, that connection we have to spirit, is so intelligent that all we need do is ask.
Yeah.
Please put me in a place of health. And we're smarter. The intelligence is smart enough to know what to give you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all we have to do is receive. Isn't that wonderful? Because it really, it's not something we actually are like doing. And so learning to be still and to allow the frequency, I could say, I'm wearing a nice aquamarine. That's my color. And it's emotional balance, physical balance is a good balance color and a good vibration of healing and health. If you have aquamarine, but someone else might need vitality. Their constitution may be weak. They might need a little red. Someone else might have a weak will and be anxious or fearful. Maybe they need a little yellow. Who's to say what we need? But this infinite spirit and the infinite intelligence knows what we need, knows what the need is in every moment. And all we need to do is trust and ask, and then be willing to sit in that and receive. Trusting and knowing that everything we need is given in that moment, exactly as it's needed, exactly as it's given. So you see so many people on Facebook right now sending healing, channeling healing, having healing meditations. What's fascinating to me, I participated in some of them, and of course I'm going to look at the color, I'm going to look at the vibration, but who's to say what color's needed? I can't say what's needed for you, what's needed for me. You show beautiful violet. I'm just saying it's a beautiful color and very strong vibrancy and health with you. But who's to say what the need is for everyone? And, by asking that they get what they need, priceless, and the color that they need if you're using color, because that corresponds to the frequency, to the vibration.
That's true.
That, and the cells will vibrate at that level, okay? And it may shift. Just imagine you see those pictures. You ever see something starts out so slow, and it's going very slow, and all of a sudden it speeds up and it like jumps and transforms to an entirely different shape?
Yes.
and then it speeds up some more and goes into another, like, okay? And this is like the chakras, each one exploding more and more, going into higher frequencies and higher geometric patterns, more complicated, more resilient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so it isn't like one size fits all, one God fits all, but one size does not. And there's no such thing as the my God's bigger than your God game. One healing isn't better than another. Okay? It's the one that's right for you. So the vibration of health is the vibration of health that you ask for, whatever that need is. And without needing to know, if you listen to like the Solfeggio scale, I can't pronounce this very well.
Solfeggio.
Solfeggio scale, thank you. I listened to it, I know what it is, but I can't pronounce it. Sorry about that. And we looked it up before we started. I still can't get it. I'm okay with me. I'm okay with that. Thanks for your help. But if you listen, all the frequencies are there. So if we want to stay in balance, you don't want to miss anything. It's easy. Just put yourself into the music. It's easy to find. If you're struggling with parasympathetic, you can, there are a lot of musical choices out there that will tone the vagal nerve, which we know connects to every organ.
Yes, the vagus nerve that runs right through the center of your being. And it helps so much to strengthen that intuitively and with vibrational frequency. So as you're saying this, Sharon, color has frequency, different musical notes have frequency, everything has its own frequency, and it's about tuning into the right radio station, as it were, the radio station with optimizing health.
Yes.
Yes.
The one radio station that's right for you.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's really quite simple. We can all do it. There's nothing required. There are a lot of free things on YouTube, a lot of free things that you can get on the internet to assist you with that. So it's not like we need anything other than to be able to trust. Isn't that wonderful?
It is, and it's certainly a matter of being. It's interesting. There is an element of doing in the sense of willingness to receive, but it's more of a being.
Yes.
And in that state of being, you do vibrate at a higher level of frequency that allows the healing to take place. And so it's one of the reasons why Jesus and the healing that he did was so powerful, that it got to a point where he didn't have to be in someone's physical presence in order for the healing to happen. And so he did physical hands-on healing, but he also did absent healing. And that vibrational frequency was available at any time from anywhere.
And it is, because we know that spirit is non-local. That's right. And isn't that amazing? Isn't that wonderful? If you need a miracle in your life, that's 528 hertz. So, right. So the corresponding frequencies, we're vibrating at different frequencies all simultaneously. Okay. So to get the overall picture, this is why, when you calm yourself down, you listen, you can sit there finally. So if you can't do it, use something that will assist you in doing that. And once you're there, then we can start to transform, transmute, raise the entire vibration. It was interesting, in one of the healings we were doing, I saw the virus, if you will. I'm thinking it's going to be a color, but what they showed me was encapsulated and inert. Yeah. And if it's inert, it's not going to interact with anything. We know that as a host, we have to host it, which means we have to agree vibrationally to receive it. And all I'm saying is, you tell it, ask, surrender to the divine intelligence, and invite health. Okay? Because that vibration isn't compatible with hosting the virus. And I saw it encapsulated and floating in a different dimension than everything else. It was inert.
Yes.
not interacting with anything. Isn't that wonderful?
You know, because I've been doing a lot of reading about the immune system, even before all of this hit, about the innate immune system, about the adaptive immune system, and how that works, how that functions, and how this is so beautifully set up in our body to happen
Yes.
for us involuntarily, and how our body's constantly learning how to protect us even more. And so I think there's a majesty to what God has built in each one of us. And it does have an opportunity to go to the forefront, absolutely. And by acknowledging and doing what we're supposed to do to optimize our health, not just with nutrition, but energetically, I
Yes.
think that's crucial. Now, when you're talking about hertz, for people who are not familiar with that concept, when you're talking about hertz, that's a unit of energy.
Correct. There are two things, and if you, I think the one who explains it the best in my uh, studies would be Rosalind Barrere, who wrote Wheels of Light,
Mm-hmm.
Wheels of Light, and she explains very much. She was an electrical engineer. Isn't it interesting? Because there are two things occurring simultaneously. One is the amplitude, which means how much boom does your box have, right? Are we getting up high? Are we going at a fast beat, at a high beat? You know, what is the wave of the beat? What's the amplitude? Okay. And then what's the frequency? What's the amplitude, which will be the beat?
Yes.
That's like the heartbeat, ba-boom, ba-boom. There's a beat constantly going. And then there's a frequency also. So those are two separate things. Okay. And it's kind of like the simple way to understand this might be piano, play a piano, right? And Elaine Thomas speaks about this in her teachings, which I love this metaphor. And she talks about raising your vibration. You know, let's find middle C on the piano. What we're talking about is still C, but we're talking about hitting high C. You want to boost your constitution, hit low C. You want to stay balanced and in the middle, stay in middle C. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, different pitch, okay? Different frequency, okay? And then you can play it fast or slow. If you play something really fast, it tends to increase in its energy, and naturally it will. If you're increasing in your amplitude, usually it increases in frequency too. That big crescendo boom, right? We see it just escalate until it shifts onto a new platform.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have a different base from which we're functioning. I think as a medium, we understand this because we function from a different platform, really. Okay, right? That might make sense to people who are mediums, might not make sense to the rest of the listening public. And if it doesn't, just all the more reason to take a class. Right? So that you too can understand this. But you see what I'm saying. So, you know, from where we're coming and then working with both the amplitude and the frequency. You can keep the amplitude the same and just increase the frequency. And I think Rosalind Barrere, again, she has a CD out that has, you know, country western is a second chakra musical repertoire. So you know, if you're a second chakra person, you like that color orange, you're all about, you know, sex, relationship, the dogs, the husbands, everything, right? But good, bad, or indifferent, whether you're on the upside or the downside, you know. But that's a second chakra, okay? Because there's a certain pattern to it. It's a 2-beat, okay? 2-beat rhythm, and then it uses certain chords. Okay, so all the things, if you ever listen to a Christian radio station, it's interesting, they use all the musical chords that resonate to the heart. Mm-hmm. They're coming from the heart. You can actually feel that vibration. You can feel that vibration. Right? And all the preaching can feel that vibration. So, and it gets communicated in the, right, right? And then, right, but you can feel it raises the vibration, right? You can feel it. It's an actual phenomenon. And so we're talking about the vibration of health. You know, I think we need a complete repertoire. Yes. You know, that is going to give you your optimal health. If you have low C, middle C, and high C, and you're in good health. Okay. If you can do a 2-step, a 3-step waltz, okay. You can, and you can do, what's his name? Yanni, all at the same time. This is wonderful, right? You can easily feel all those and be with them, each one. It's about being able to be present with it, not choosing preferences or judging, because that sets up the charge, which actually, and Mother Teresa said this the best during the Vietnam War when they asked, would she please come to the war protest, and she said no. And she said, but if you have a march for peace, please let me know. I'll come. Right? It's about what we want, not what we don't want. And that sets up the charge.
Yeah.
Often, a lot of healers, we come, and even as a medium, our foundational place is unconditional love. Okay? Come from that place intentionally. Okay? Or when you flip the switch, that's where you are. There's no judgment. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to me, that color is usually a lovely pink, the color of the saints, color of the roses. But it also is a place, unconditional love has no opposite whatsoever. There's no charge. If there's no charge, there's no place for anything to interact. And this is important when we're talking about our health and our metabolic processes.
Yes.
So
it's about optimizing. I keep using that word, but I do feel that it's very appropriate at this time.
It's a good word, yeah.
We are all working on mind, body, soul levels to optimize our health and the health of our loved ones and the health of the world. And there is a consciousness that we're trying to bring to the energy of interactions we have with others during this time, and the interactions we may have with random viruses that try to take hold. But our body system was definitely created to optimize our health and to get us back into a state of perfect health. And it was already preset in that way. And granted, there are people that have different autoimmune issues and underlying health conditions that they are working on within themselves. But as they work through those and the spiritual lessons that they have about those things, and the way they handle their hurdles, that is so crucial. And it's about setting that attitude that has its own vibrational frequency.
Yeah, gratitude, unconditional love. It has no charge. Yes, in a place of gratitude, it is just a positive. And again, there's no opposite to it. And so mentally, yes, choosing unconditional love, gratitude, perfect things to stay in the peace and the health go a long way. So mentally, there's because there's a vibration, and there's a lot of research that's been done on that. When we think in the words and the water, and the Japanese scientists who prove that to change actually the molecular structure.
Dr. Imola.
Change our structure on the inside as well. So, we know these things to be true. Absolutely. And you mentioned a good point, Willa, about the willingness then to do that. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to let the fear go? Are you willing to surrender? We all are creating our own reality, and thy will be done. It is not my knowing what your soul's lesson is. Okay? So even when we're in the healing, you see the perfect health of the person, and I don't know for a moment what their soul's lesson is. Meaning there's an intelligence, a power and a plan, that has nothing to do with me. It has to do with them. My first teacher used to say, certain people she wouldn't work with anymore because they would take that energy. At the time, we're back back in the early 80s, and there was, this cocaine problem. And so people would come in feeling terrible, and they would get a healing, and they'd feel great, right? And they would go out and do it again. So she said, no, you can use the energy however you want. And Rosalind Breer talks about this, people assisting people in their death. Take the energy and use it however you need. Some people use it to heal, and some people use it as the catalyst to exit.
Mm-hmm.
It is not my job to decide what's right for that being.
But there is an aspect in terms of our spiritualist healing, prayer spiritual healing, that it is important for a person to do their part.
Yes. Yes.
In their healing. That's in the first lines of our healing prayer, that each person needs to do their part. Yes. And to accept the healing from the divine. It yes. can course through them, and they can accept that in that higher vibrational state. So when we're talking about working on our own vibrational, because I feel it's important that before we work on other people, that we work about within ourselves. Yeah. When you're talking about the vibrational frequency, and you're using the term hertz, and you're there are different numbers associated with healing, with miracles, like what you said, middle note C or high or low note C, these things, and the resources that people can have going forward. What do you suggest in terms of achieving vibrational frequency of health? Is there a number that people are looking for to optimize that for themselves at this time with this particular situation of the virus? Or are you saying they're going to have to hunt a little bit for that particular one?
I'm saying that if they are willing to surrender and ask the great unseen healing force what they need in this moment, it may change, because we're never static. Mm-hmm. We're constantly changing. Maybe in one moment we feel fear. So if you're feeling fear, you would need a 396 hertz frequency, okay? And if you have a musical repertoire where you have access to these frequencies, you might begin to have some sense, kind of like in the same way that a medium might look at symbols and get a dictionary. So when I see this, I know that, right? Mm-hmm. And you can get that same kind of dictionary for yourself. Oh, when I'm feeling this, I need that. When I'm experiencing this, I need that. Okay? Mm-hmm. We might get that body of evidence, but we don't really need it. All we need to do is ask in the moment and trust that great unseen healing force. And if we're doing our part and we're surrendering in complete honesty and sincerity and doing our part, it will just come. We don't really need to know. There's an intelligence within us and within that force that knows. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In fact, at that point, the more we're able to stay out of the way, the more healing that can happen.
Yes. And, for people who really want to learn more in terms of the numbers, because that's the kind of person they are, they like the research, it makes them feel good to say, oh, if I hit this little note on the piano, this is assisting me somehow.
Yes. Yeah, people will be drunk. Well, some people know they like country western, some people don't like it.
So you would recommend that they go toward music in order to achieve this hertz frequency?
There's a lot available right now. I suggest that they actually look up the Solfeggio scale. And did I pronounce it right that time?
You did fine. Yes.
Because that's a good place to start. It gives you the breakdown of the frequencies. And we know, like the shell, and you see in all the mystery schools, the corresponding, the correlations, the correspondence we know through Andrew Jackson Davis, a spiritualist, our connection with nature and the correspondences It explains this, and that's where that comes from. This is it. Okay, so it's a good place to start if they want to research. If they're lazy, they can just look up vagal nerve, get a shortcut there, go into parasympathetic, relax a bit, and then they might want to do something different or a little more. Okay, so there's no wrong answer, Willa.
Sure.
I think that you really, it's really about the willingness, and if people are curious, they can just listen to whatever they feel and see what's soothing to them. So I suggest that, all our answers are within. That's why I do Intuit the Year Ahead. All your answers are within. Don't ask me, you have them yourself. Ask yourself. Okay, right? So all your answers are within. Go within and ask. And the answer will always be given.
Yes. It may not come in the timing that you're wanting. Sometimes when you ask, there's a bit of a delay in terms of the response that we get initially. If people aren't used to asking and receiving and have a nice, good, healthy line of communication with that. So it may take some people a little bit of time and patience within themselves for that process to emerge for them. And so, people are going to look at the Solfeggio scale, and they're also going to recognize that even if they don't if they haven't tuned into the exact number of the hertz necessary for different things, that is not as important as putting yourself into that state of being, of love and gratitude. That will automatically get you there without having to. But if people are of the scientific mind and want to research it, I'm glad that you suggested the resource for them on how to do that.
And then they want to tune up. They recognize, yes, they have one sound, like we all have a sound, like a meter sound. We all have a soul sound, if you will.
Yes.
But we're not just a sound, we're an entire song. So if you want just a sound, sorry, you're going to get very limited results. If you play the whole song, you'll get the full bodiness of it, everything. So
it's true. And as mediums, we observe that. I know myself in my mediumship, I'm tuning into the particular vibrational frequency of that spirit, so I can feel their essence. And then they're able to go and visit their people here on the earth plane because they recognize their loved one's vibrational frequency that is unique to them. It's kind of like their fingerprint, however you want to look at it.
That's right.
Right. And so it's something that you can find each other anywhere because of this. Yes. And we can also find help. We can attract that to us. And we can be in that vibrational frequency the more we speak our words of help.
Yes. Right. It's really the fruits of the spirit: love, peace, and joy. Right.
Yes, absolutely. So even when people are out and about, it's important not to be in that state of fear. I know that the media would have us be very fearful at this time. I think it's a matter of caution and not getting into anxiety, panic, those levels of fear, and getting into that, okay, I will be cautious, I'll be smart about this, but I am not going to be in a fearful space, because that fear attracts things to us that ultimately we truly did not desire.
Right. And, not being foolish, as I was talking before, there's a spiritual musician. I went to Louisiana and just, rebuked all this. God will protect him, right? Died of the virus. So, you don't want to be ignorant and tempt fate and all these things in the name of God. God won't do for you if you're not doing for yourself. We're right back there with that sincerity, honesty, and personal responsibility. Don't be stupid. Don't tempt fate. Be mindful and be present in the peace. So there's nothing to react with. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. And and that we are in an opportunity, we have an opportunity to simplify our lives and to be in that love and gratitude space. Absolutely. To, as I keep saying, optimize all of this. But any last things how about recapping for the people who have been watching today about that vibrational frequency of health? Let's recap for them, or any last things you wanted to add in.
I think the most important recap is the very simplest thing, Willa. Stay with your connection to the God of your own understanding. Be grateful for everything, no complaints, and just pray health.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So prayer of the saints, thank you for everything, no complaints, and then pray health for ourselves and receive it, and everyone else, and extend that out.
And so those are the main focuses that you're doing at this time yourself.
Yes, that the frequency is there, the infinite intelligence knows, and that really there are many tools available. If you want to tune up your system, boost your system, fortify your system, that are available to do that. And I would, suggest people do that as a way of just, building their constitution, boosting their immunity, building their love. Create a larger space for love. You make a gratitude list. Make a gratitude list, 10 things you're grateful for every day. That's going to build you up a lot. Boost your vibration just like that. And it's the same thing as listening, listen to 10 country ballads if you have to. Okay, whatever.
Sounds like you're a country music lover, Sharon.
I'm actually not. I'm making it's interesting. So isn't that interesting?
Have you been listening to Patsy Cline?
But I don't really like a lot of bluegrass. But my sister does, and I'm making peace with my sister. And I don't have aversion reactions. I can appreciate just about everything now, and I think that's what's important. Find the good in everything, and you'll always find good. You'll always be in the vibration of good. Find the health in everything, you'll be in the vibration of good health all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a measure of when we allow joy to take over, when we the healthy forms of laughter that we can infuse our whole being with, that certainly amplifies and raises the vibration. So some of the ways that a medium raises the vibration would be, like I said, through laughter, through joy, through peace, through prayer, through meditation, things that would be expressions of gratitude. All of those elements really start to allow us to have a cohesive communication with people who have passed. And I think those rules apply to the other communications we have in our life with people here on the earth plane, but also with the essence of our own being. If we're wanting to communicate with our own soul, when we raise our vibration, it's so much easier to recognize how connected we are instead of our separateness in these moments, and how we are so firmly planted on higher ground with God.
Yes. One of my favorite songs.
Yes.
Silly, huh? But yeah.
Yes. So I'm so glad that you've been sharing today about the vibrational frequency of health. It's something that if anybody wants to read more about, I do recommend Florence Scovel Shinn for many reasons. She is a New Thought writer, and she's one of my favorites. And she talks extensively about health, and she was someone that people would go to if they were in a financial situation or a health or a relationship situation, whatever the case may be. She had a real solid view of that vibrational frequency that was necessary for people to be in a positive, affirmative way with their divine right good. That health is ours by divine right.
Right.
And all of those good things that we imagine other people have that we want, we can have them within ourselves including health in this time.
Yes.
And that is ours by divine right, and that God's not trying to snatch that from our hands. That we need to do whatever we can to allow the beauty of our life to unfold in divine right timing, divine right order.
And for us to align with that. That really is the key issue, because the lack is not being in alignment. And she always says in her prayers, under grace in a perfect way.
Yes.
Which is very important, okay?
Yes.
And you can't lose anything. So these are all significant teachings. I agree. The Game of Life and How to Play It, Florence Scovel.
Yep.
I highly recommend it. It's beautiful. It'll explain a lot. Yes.
Yes. And that way you can, yes, health is a component that we're focused on right now, but it's the other aspects of life that we need to also bring into balance if we feel that they're not in harmony. And this is the time to work on them, because one affects the other, as it were.
That's the difference in the whole song or just the note.
Yes, exactly. And so wherever you're needing healing, anyone who's viewing this today, know that healing is yours by divine right, and that you have the ability to vibrate at high levels, even if you haven't understood how to do that in the past. It is something that you can allow a switch within you to be flipped to receive all that is good and all that is perfect for you at that time, and that it will be there for you. I think that that's where we need to keep that alignment with God, that it is there, and there's a trust that you will work more in the trust of your being with the universal energies. Yes, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing about the vibrational frequency of health, and I hope we've given some people some great food for thought. And I encourage everybody to like and share and follow and subscribe and all that good stuff. And tune in for next week on Wednesdays with Will. I'll have another great show planned for you. And certainly keep checking out the things that Lilydale is bringing forward in our summer season program, because there will be a summer season here in Lilydale. It may be more in this virtual way, but no matter what, we will be here for you to encourage, to educate, to uplift, and that will carry forward in the days to come. So lots of love to all of you. And again, Sharon, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Willa. My pleasure.
Thank you. Blessings to everyone. Bye-bye.